Hi class, Dave Staublin here, and we are on page 9 of our packet, and we are going to learn how to factor trinomials. Now, before we factor, let's review how to multiply. So, I'm going to show you a couple of ways, and I'm going to start up here at the top. And distributive property says that we would do x times x is x squared, and x times 5 is 5x, and 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 5 is 10, and then we combine the like terms and get x squared plus 7x plus 10. So that's what we have talked about in previous days. Now, what I'd like to show you next is this idea of firsts, outsides, insides, and lasts, sometimes referred to as FOIL. And what this means is that we take the firsts and multiply, so first and first will be x squared, and then we take the outsides and we multiply those, and then we take the insides and multiply those, and then we do the lasts. 2 times 5 is 10, and in this case they're all positive. And then what you can do is you can look at these two right here, and x squared plus 7x plus 10. So this is basically like distributive property. It's just thinking about it differently. And the reason that we might think about it differently is that when we practice these fast, what we can do is we can say the firsts are r squared, and then the lasts are 3 times 1 is plus 3, and then we can do 1r plus 3r is 4r, so the outsides and the insides. And here's another one. If we were going to do this fast, we could do the firsts, which is x squared. We could do the lasts, which is minus 4. And then if we did the outsides, we'd have minus 1, and the insides plus 4. Minus 1 plus 4 is plus 3x. So that's how we do those fast. Now, before we do any more of these examples, I am going to zip up here, and I know that in class when we talked about the box method or the area method, that wasn't super popular, but I'm going to show it again just because this may become useful for a specific example later. So I'm going to put x and a plus 2 and an x and a plus 5, and we're going to look at it like this. This box is x times x, or x squared. This box is 5 times x, 5x. This box is 2 times x, or 2x, and this box is 5 times 2, which is 10. Now what we can do is x squared, and then these are like terms, plus 7x, and then we have the 10. So any of these methods will work, but again, what I want to emphasize is that this first, outside, inside, last, or this FOIL, can help us multiply these problems fast. Let's do another one. Okay, firsts are y squared, lasts are negative 20, and then let's do the outside and the inside. So 5y minus 4y is 1y. So we did it. All right, so I'm going to pause for a moment And I want you to try 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And while you are trying them, I am also going to do them so you can check your answers as you go along. And you may want to have somebody pause the video if you find that I'm going too fast or if you need to repeat something. So go ahead and get started. I will do them too. All right, there's the answers for 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and check your work. And I've decided that I don't like working quietly, so I'm going to talk through these last 3. The firsts are k times k, k squared. The lasts are 3 times 3 plus 9. And then the outsides are 3k and the insides are 3k. Add them, you get 6k. This problem, the firsts are d squared. The lasts are minus 40. Let's see, the insides and the outsides. 10 minus 4 is 6d. One more. M, the firsts, m times m is m squared. Negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. And then let's do the outside and the inside. Let's see, there's a plus 3m, a minus 3m. Plus 3 minus 3 cancels, so there is no middle term. M squared minus 9. There we go. Okay, so what I'm hoping that you get out of this is that the outsides and the insides add to the middle number, and then the lasts multiply to the last number. So how does that help us if we want to do this process backwards? Okay, so here's how we're going to do it. This whole FOIL thing works like this. We're going to look at this first letter here, and it's b squared. And so we're going to have b times b. So the firsts give us that term. Now we need to pick 2 numbers for these positions, the lasts that multiply to 8. And so what are our choices for numbers that multiply to 8? Well, you can use your factor pairs sheet, and you can find that the factor pairs are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. So how do you know which factor pair to choose? Well, this is where the outsides and the insides come into play. Because what happens is the outsides and the insides have to add to the middle number. So the bottom line is you have to have a pair of numbers that multiply to 8 and add to 6. So which 2 numbers here, which pairs, multiply to 8 and add to 6? 1 plus 8 is 9, so that's no good. 2 plus 4 is 6, that works. So plus 2 plus 4. Now, you know how we practiced these problems fast? Well, that's how we're going to check our work. The first, b times b is b squared. The lasts, 2 times 4 is 8. Then the outsides and the insides. Let's see, 4b plus 2b is 6b. We did it right. Good job, math team. All right, let's do number 3. Let's work downwards. So we know that the firsts have to multiply to m squared, so m times m. Now, we need 2 factor pairs that multiply to 20 for these last numbers. So the factor pairs are 1, 20, 2, 10, and 4, and 5. So we need to pick 2 of these numbers that multiply to negative 20. Now, right away, I'm seeing a problem is because all these are positive and this is negative. So what needs to happen is one of these numbers in each pair needs to be negative. So we could do negative 1 times 20, or we could do 1 times negative 20. So how is that going to work? Well, let's see. We also know that these 2 numbers have to add together to be plus 1. So if this is going to be a positive number, we need to subtract the smaller number. So let's check these. Negative 1 times 20 is negative 20. Minus 1 plus 20 is 19. That doesn't match. No good. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. Negative 2 plus 10 is 8. That doesn't match. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Negative 4 plus 5 is positive 1. That's the factor pair that we're going to write here. Okay, so let's use FOIL to check this out. M times m, the firsts, is m squared. The lasts, negative 4 times 5, is negative 20. And then the outside and the inside, 5m minus 4m is 1m. We did this correctly. All right, let's keep moving on. We'll do 2 more examples. Okay, so k squared. We know that the firsts need to be k and k, so those multiply to k squared. Now we need factor pairs of 28. I'm going to go to my factor pair sheet, and the factor pairs are 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. Okay. Now, we need these 2 numbers to multiply to 28, to positive 28, but they have to add to negative 16. How are we going to have 2 of these numbers multiply to a positive 28 and yet add to a negative number? Well, I'm thinking that both numbers in the factor pair have to be negative. Let's see what happens. Negative 1 times negative 28 is positive 28, so that works. Negative 1 minus 28 is negative 29. That doesn't match. That one's no good. Negative 2 times negative 14 is positive 28. Negative 2 minus 14 is negative 16. That works. That matches. So we need to have negative 2, negative 14. I'm just going to double check one more time. K times k, the firsts are k squared. The lasts, negative 2 times negative 14 is positive 28. That works. And the outsides and the insides, negative 14k, negative 2k is negative 16k. Check. We did it right. All right, here's the last example before we call it quits. All right, the firsts need to be n times n, so we get n squared. Then we need factor pairs of negative 30. Well, factor pairs of 30 are 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. You know, I should have shown you this. This is the factor pairs sheet that I've been talking about, and there's my factor pairs of 30 that I just wrote down. Use this sheet. It should really help you out. All right, so now, factor pairs of 30, they need to multiply to negative 30, and we need a pair that adds to negative 13. Well, if they're going to multiply to negative 30, one of each of these pairs needs to be negative, but which one? The small number or the big number? Well, this middle number is negative, so the bigger number is going to have to be negative. That way, when we subtract, we get a negative number. Let's check and see how this works. 1 times negative 30 is negative 30. 1 minus 30 is negative 29. That doesn't match. 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. 2 minus 15 is negative 13. I think that's the one. But you know what? This one's freaking me out. I'm not sure, because I see a 10 and a 3, and that makes me think 13. What is 3 minus 10? Well, it's negative 7. So that doesn't match. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. That doesn't match. So it is indeed positive 2 and negative 15. I think we got it, but let's double check. The first's n times n is n squared. The last's 2 times negative 15 is negative 30. That works. Let's check the outsides and the insides. Negative 15n plus 2n is negative 13n. We factored it correctly. Whew. All right, class, this was challenging work, and I went pretty quick. If you need to go back through the video, you may need to do that. You may need to slow it down, or you may need to pause it. Now, in the booklet, if you go to page 10, you will find that there are 10 problems on page 10 that you can do. And what I would like you to do is factor this like we just practiced. This assignment says find the first, outside, inside, and last from this factoring. Then you can combine those to double check and make sure you got that. I'll tell you what, I'll do one for you just to double check. How about let's do number 3 together just for practice. Okay, so we know we need n times n, and then we need factor pairs of 12. I'm going to write them, I guess I'll write them over here. So factor pairs of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. These two numbers need to multiply to negative 12 and subtract to minus 4, so the bigger number needs to be minused. 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. 1 minus 12 is negative 11, which is not that number. No good. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. That's the factor pair. Plus 2 minus 6. Now let's check this. The firsts are n times n, which is n squared. The lasts multiplied are negative 12. So far those match. And then the outsides would be negative 6n. The insides would be plus 2n. And if you combine those, Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4n, and that was our middle term. We factored it correctly. Okay, I'm finally done talking. Thank you for paying attention and for doing your personal best. Your job is to finish up these last problems here on page 10, and then you can have some quiet, relaxing time. And by quiet, I mean quiet. You know what I'm talking about. All right, I'll also have these problems done so you can come up to your substitute teacher and you can check your answers. All right, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.